Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we will be introducing you to some of our favourite local breweries. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hiya.
And we are two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
So this week we will be discussing some of our favourite and most frequented local breweries. We both happen to be situated near lots of great breweries. I know that I'm near Phantom Brewing, Wild Weather Co, Double Barrel, lots of them in Berkshire. Jo, are you near any others in particular?
So a lot of mine are little Kent breweries, but they're still great. You may not have heard them up further north than where we are down here. So I've got Wansome, North Down. So one of my favourites in Canterbury is Canterbury Brewers, who are at the Foundry Brew Pub. That's the only brew pub within the city walls. Lots of nice little ones around our way.
So yeah, who knows? This could end up being a part one of however many, because we've got so many. We're very fortunate to have so many near us. But today we're going to be focusing on our top two favourite ones. So for Joanne, she's got Time Tide and Boutilliers. And for me, I've got Siren, which no one's going to be shocked about, and Elusive. So I guess let's get cracking. Let's drink some beers.
Perfect. Right. Shall I talk about my guys first?
I think so.
I love my two. Right. So I'm repping. I've got my t-shirt on. If you're watching the video, I've got my Boutilliers t-shirt on for my boys, Rich and Drew. So for my beers, I have got Las Piñas, which is Boutilliers brewed with ampersand. And for Time and Tide, I've got Ham Sandwich. It's just got one of the best labels. So Boutilliers are literally 20 minutes up the road from me. They're in Faversham. They brew out of a little brewery behind a farm shop, which also happens to have brilliant Kent beer in it, which is bonus. Pop up there, pop my head in, grab some beer from Rich and Drew, and then I pop in the farm shop and just buy more beer. It's great. And Time and Tide are in Deal, which is the opposite way. So if I go two different ways, I can get great beer. They were less well known to me until a beer cafe opened in Sandwich, which is another one of the little villages over from where I live. And then I discovered their beer there, and they are just brilliant. So I'll tell you a bit more about those when we get to drinking my two beers. What about your two, Tori?
So it's funny that you say that. So I've got Lord Nelson 2020 from Elusive Brewing, and Elusive is it started in May of 2016 by Andy Parker, and he's the head brewer there as well. I think he actually was, you can relate because I know you're a home brewer. He was, I believe, a home brewer, and I think he used some money that he got from an award, if I remember correctly, to start up Elusive. Yeah, and the tap room itself, which is situated, they're both in Finch Hampstead, Siren and Elusive. Funnily enough, yours are opposite directions. Yeah. Mine are quite literally across the estate from each other. Like you can wave to each other from it. So he's got the brewery, and he's opened the tap room in November 2019. So that was I didn't know about that one until I was coming back from my next brewery, Siren. One day I was driving back from Siren, and I happened to look over. I was in the passenger seat because my husband was driving, just kind of looking out, and I saw a sign for Elusive, and I was like, oh, I've heard of them. Yeah. They're there. Oh. So unfortunately, I've never actually got to go in their tap room, which I'm gutted about because it looks so cool. But yeah, I drive by them frequently on my way to see Siren. I go there quite frequently, about once a week. And this one, which is Neo Normal, it's a California IPA. It's quite exciting. I'll say why it's exciting when we actually get to drinking it, and you'll be able to fill us in probably on more details. But yeah, those are my two, and everyone knows how much I love Siren. And you repping the Boutilliers shirt, I'm repping my Siren glass.
Yes.
It's my favourite glass. So
We are such fangirls. I can't
honestly,
even tell you.
I probably would have bought a jumper by now from them if they hadn't sort of limited their shop at the moment. But
Yeah. See, I've got
lots of glassware from them.
Boutilliers haven't done a glass yet. I need Drew to get on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say get him on that.
Yeah, he needs to get on that. Time and Tide have just done a glass, but theirs is one of those stubby Allegra ones. And they're not as I really like the glass, but I don't. We're drinking a New England IPA from them, and I don't like drinking a pale beer out of that glass because you warm it up because it's in your hand. So I'll use that glass later when I have their chocolate stout that I've got in the fridge.
Yeah, I get very excited because I like mermaids and all that. I just like the aesthetic of all that as well. And so like Siren put it on all of them. And what I really like about this glass in particular is it's just like, I don't know if you can see that. It's just like their Siren, this is Lumina, is a total badass, and it's like she's just got control of the whole universe. It's a power move, love it. So yeah, that's my favorite glass, and it looks like a can. It's one of the can shaped ones. And I do like a good like jam jar.
Yeah,
so I would say that
a mason jar. You like a mason jar?
Mason jar. That's what I was going for.
You're so American.
Rustic.
Definitely. Oh my god, we need to get you one of the mason jars with a handle on it. There you go, that'll do you.
Already
of course you have. Brilliant. Love it. Well, I've got, just as a side, as we're talking about glasses, I've got my fancy Overworks one for later.
You're just showing it because now I've got envy because I couldn't get it quick enough. Basically, Brewdog released more that they were getting rid of, and they're very difficult to get because they break really badly is what I hear. And then within 6 hours of them releasing it, it was absolutely gone. Fuming.
I can't believe you did get, like, I didn't even realise they weren't selling them anymore, because I'm going to be devastated if mine breaks and I can't get a replacement. I absolutely love this glass.
It's like, I could use a normal wine glass, but that's not branded. Why would I want a non-branded wine glass? Like, don't be stupid.
No, nonsense. That's nonsense.
Siren, if you're listening and you want to do a wine glass with your brand on it, I will buy it. Buy 5 of them.
Brilliant. I love it.
Right, should we crack on and do...
As a side note, if you're interested in glassware, our second episode was about glassware, so please go and give it a listen.
I did listen to it.
Did you?
I learned a bit, yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
I liked it. It was
good.
Everyone
educational episodes.
It was educational.
Brilliant. Right, we're going to crack open Las Piñas first.
Wait for that nice sound.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, it's alive.
Right, so this is, as I realise that we've gone quiet, this is a pineapple and tea wheat beer, and it is 5% alcohol. So one of my absolute favourite things about Boutilliers is that they put fruit tea in things. It's great. I love it. And so whenever I've gone to several Meet the Brewers now with Rich and Drew, and I actually quizzed Drew about putting fruit tea into things, because I'd seen that they do it, and I find that it just adds an extra layer to the aroma and the flavours. So I have ruthlessly quizzed Drew on how he does it, and now I do it in my beers as well. So what they'll do is, this beer has got a double dose of pineapple, it says. So it's got Eldorado, Pecco and Chinook hops. And then they've added pineapple puree, but then in the dry hop, they've added pineapple tea. And when we say tea, I will preface that, because it's actually fruit tisane. And if you don't know what a tisane is, so whereas a fruit tea has actually got like black tea or green tea in it as the base, a tisane is just the fruit. It's just dried fruit and flowers and herbs and things like that. So Drew always says he says tea, but really it's a tisane.
I like that word.
He doesn't want to confuse people and have to explain what tisane means. So
it's a fun word though. Tisane.
It's a fun word. Yeah, it's really good. Right. Should we give this a taste? Have you tasted it yet?
No, well, I've had it the other day, so I
In the
should say.
I've not had it yet.
Have you not?
Mm-mm.
I took it camping with me last weekend.
Oh, that's nice. So it's very light. You did tell me
Mine's
it's
got a
very
good
light.
bit of head on
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
So
I did
mine's
say
only a
that's
little
why
glass.
I thought it would
I've
be
got
good to do first because it's very light.
I've got some good lacing in my glass. Top it up a little bit. So it's
Can I just say as well,
yeah.
Brew's meme game, if you don't know, and no,
Yes.
Drew's meme game,
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah.
Very on point.
Yeah.
I'd like it if when I bought beers from him, my receipts was actually on the back of a meme. So when you actually try to get him
shall I
to do
tell
other
him?
things, can you ask him to do that
Rich
as well,
is
please?
not down with all of that stuff. Like that's all Drew, I can tell you.
That's right, you only need one.
Right. So if you don't follow Boutilliers or Boutilliers Tap Room on any of their socials, you're missing out because literally twice a day, probably more like, you get a really good beer meme from Drew. He does some
His
brilliant
meme
ones.
game is strong.
Yeah. And if you don't know what a meme is, then you're down with Richard. So
So maybe don't check it out. Just order their beer and don't actually
just buy their
look
beer
at the
instead.
memes.
Just buy their beer instead. Instead, look at their amazing artwork. Like, so this is lovely art. This is lovely, but their other artwork is by...
I've got some right behind me.
Oh, have you got some? Lovely. Is by Camille Favel. I think I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. But her artwork is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
you've
my favourite, because I like video games as well. So this one was my favourite because it's like Untitled Goose Game. So press Y for honk.
Press Y to honk. So that is a mango tipper. And I don't normally like tippers, but that one was absolutely delicious and very, very dangerous because you do not realise how strong it is.
Got that one as well.
Is that turning pages? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, page turner. And then I've got Getting the Robot. I quite like this one because it's got this like anime style to it. And then I've got The Bye Bye Sky, which I like the name of. And it's got a little...
Oh, that's the green tea. Yeah. Green tea saison, isn't it?
That's funny you said it. So I just happened to have them all next to me. So I thought,
that's brilliant.
You're smart.
Good job. So I'll just talk about the beer. So it's a... Considering it's a wheat beer, it's almost clear. It's not quite clear, but it's almost... Oh, I can see my fingers through the glass though. So
I would call it like a light haze.
Very lightly hazed. It's got a nice lacing white head on it.
I get the pineapple smell. It almost has the pineapple smell, like you can tell that it's fresh pineapple as opposed to synthetic pineapple. Yeah, like it's not just juice. You could tell it's like actual mushed
that'd be
pineapple.
The tea. I've got too much in it too. And I get a little bit of that wheat. Yeah. There's that creaminess that comes from the grain of wheat in there.
And I think actually that light haze to it is what I often, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just, not looking at it right. But I think when I see wheat beers, they do always tend to have like not a full haze, but a light
sort of haziness to it. They should be hazy. A wheat beer should be hazy. If you have a Hefeweizen, which is a wheat beer, or a wit beer, they should be hazy. So this is quite clear actually. I'd expect it to be hazier. It's got a nice bite to it.
Yeah.
Very slightly bitter. You get the wheat right up front, which is lovely and creamy, and then you get the pineapple on the back end. Really refreshing. Like you could sink many of these. Many.
I think because it's so light, it's a bit like, I think, what's the percentage on it? 5%,
5.
I think?
Yeah.
And I feel like that is very sessionable.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the lightness. It's got a lot of, it still has flavour to it though. It's not like just normal beer. Like it doesn't just taste like just straight beer. It has that little extra depth to it.
Yeah. So why Boutilliers are one of my absolute faves. I had to look back to see when I first drank them, and I first had one of theirs in 2018. So not actually that long ago, at the Kent Beer Festival, and I had from them Boat Mystery, which was a mango tea pale ale. So straight out the door, getting those fruit tea beers in there. I absolutely loved it. And then I had Losing My Edge, which was a mild. So they do like really good craft stuff, and then every now and then they'll slip in something that's a bit more traditional but with their twist on it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with Boutilliers is I've actually had this conversation with Drew. Like, he was like, we could be like trying to smash out the dippers, the tippers, like trying to put out like like packing everything with hops. He's like, but there are so many breweries that are already doing that. He's like, we had to find our niche, and theirs is beautiful beers with fruit tea in, and then some massive stouts with just amazing combinations. So if you've heard of layer cake, which had tonka and chocolate and vanilla in it, and bad for education, which is, I think it's being rebrewed. So if you've not had it, is that what that was? Tonka, does that have cherry in it and chocolate? Absolutely delicious, and like massive ABV, but doesn't taste like it. Absolutely deadly. Gorgeous. Yeah, it's properly deadly, but absolutely delicious. Like, they just do these massive beers that are just delicious. So if you haven't bought any, I'm going to stick their web address in our show notes. Go to their store and get some of their beers. They also have an excellent range of guests in, and Drew just finds like the most amazing things. Like, he's got Omnipollo on there at the minute. Pop on there and get some Biancas. Like, he's got some great ones.
So this one, it looks like it's obviously collab with Ampersand, and I had never heard of Ampersand before. Just got some because I was like, well, I'm going to do an order, so I might as well get enough to do like free shipping and everything else. So I sort of got all the ones that Boutilliers had, and I thought I'll get a few guest beers, and I thought I'll try Ampersand. I've never heard of it before, and the label artwork on it was so. It was kind of what I would describe as just simple yet effective. It was just a really nice, simple but modern look. So I got the key lime pie sour. I think it was a key lime pie dessert sour. I had it when we were camping as well. It was amazing. Like, it was so good, and I was like, I'm so glad that I took that risk, and I just went, that looks quite good, I'll throw that in the basket, not really thinking about it. And they've got some really good stuff on there, some quite well-known stuff, like you said, the Omnipollo, and then stuff like Ampersand, which I don't think is as well known. So it's definitely take the punt on that one.
So as actually, that reminds me, so it's really sad because of COVID we couldn't have the one that was happening this year, but August 2019, they organised a craft beer festival in Kent, because I'm in Kent, we are camera country, like we are like real ale down here, like everything else, like the craft beer is slipping in, but camera is king down here. So Boutilliers organised a craft beer festival called Generation Craft, and it was absolutely amazing. We had Ampersand, Heist, Neon Raptor, Lost Industry, Black Iris. Who else do we have? Unity, Vibrant Forest. Just some absolutely amazing beers and breweries came down, and it was great. And so we were going to have it again this year, but COVID stopped it. But I don't think that'll stop Drew. I think he'll do it again. No. So when that's
temporary setback,
right, everyone should come down to Kent, come say hi, and come to Generation
Craft. We can have like a live walk around.
We'll do a live show from
Drew
Generation
to design
Craft.
us. Yes. Drew can design us our own meme.
Oh my God, he'd do it too. They're brilliant. Yeah. So
I requested my own meme.
So when Generation Craft comes on, come to Kent, come visit us, and come have some great craft.
You've got yourself a deal.
Boutilliers are the best. They are my boys, and they actually do some good crispy boys as well. Doki Doki's a crispy boy.
Every time I think of crispy boys, I think of you and how you're going crispy boys.
It's so funny. Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, you have to cut that out because I don't want to hear myself going crispy boys.
This is just going to be a podcast in joke now. We're going to end up with t-shirts with crispy boys on.
I don't even tempt me. I want a shirt that says beer should taste like beer, not ice cream. Yes. And then I also secondary want one that just says crispy boys. Maybe with crazy arms.
Right. So listeners, tell us what you want on Women's Brew the podcast t-shirt. We're going to start designing our store right now. We're starting with
crispy boys.
We're starting with crispy boys and
Beer should taste like beer, not ice cream.
Fish should taste like beer, not ice cream. What else do you want on our t-shirts? Tell us now. Email us at lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Tell us what you want in that store. Yes.
Yeah. Crispy boys.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's go on to my Elusive Brewing, Lord Nelson 2020. So this is a 6.8. Oh, I've got a mermaid one.
Oh, I've got a Thanos one.
Brilliant. So this is a 6.8 single hopped farmhouse ale, and it's using the Nelson Southern hop, which I believe is from New Zealand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, cool. So I thought it'd be just a bit interesting, because I always find the Nelson Southern a bit interesting in taste, because I find it has that grape taste to it, obviously like wine. And so I always find it quite interesting for a beer to have that, so I thought it would be a good one.
I'm just showing this to the video and I'll describe it to the listeners. So I expected this to come out like more of a yellowy color, and it's actually like a light amber, like a gold, probably not quite as dark as amber,
but bit like gold.
It's darker than I thought it was going to be. It smells beautiful.
Decent
absolutely
head,
clear.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely clear, bubbly white head.
It has that nice smell to it.
I love that. So because it's a saison, or are we calling it a farmhouse? What are we calling it?
Well, it's called, I think it's technically a
classic
farmhouse.
Saison.
Yeah, they do it every year, I believe, and I think they do it. I could be completely wrong. Andy is probably, if he even ever hears this, which he probably won't, he'll probably go, "That's not right." But they do it every year. I think they do it with a different brewery every year. So this one is Weird Beer Brew Co.
Like Weird Beer.
Sort of down there.
So, so this is why it's this colour. So it's a classic Saison, reading off the label. Classic Saison grist featuring Pilsner, Munich and Vienna malts. So the Munich and the Vienna malts are slightly darker. So that's why you're getting that orangey. It looks amber on my desk until I lift it up and then it's gold.
I think it's like a light, when I hold it to the light, it's got like, for me, a light gold look to it.
Yeah.
And I think it has that sort of grainy, malty, barley-ish smell to it.
There's a slight sweetness to it, which is coming from those grains, from the Munich and the Vienna. Because I chuck a bit of Munich and Vienna in if I want a bit of malty sweetness in my beers. Homebrewer pro tip there for you peeps.
Oh, the taste is this is the first time I've tried this one. The taste is very interesting.
That's
not as white grape as I was thinking it was going to be. It's a lot more malty, grainy.
Gooseberry. I'm not a massive fan of gooseberry, but I don't really get gooseberry from it. I think the sweetness of the malts is evening that out. So it's very slightly grapey, vinous. That's the word. I love that word.
Vinous.
And like, when people are like, what does that mean? So winey. Tastes a bit like white wine. Call it vinous.
Vinous.
There you go. Add that to your beer vocabulary.
Yes.
And everybody, my Build Your Beer Vocabulary course is available. What we're talking about beer vocabulary.
Shameless
plug. All about it. Just because we're talking about the word vinous, that's totally in my course.
You need to add that in now. If it's not already.
I will. No, it's already there.
So what I really like about this is, so like I said, when I was introducing them, I've not actually gone to their tap room, because I only found them as I was driving back from Siren, like sort of right before lockdown started. And what kind of happened was I kept going, I must go there. And then lockdown happened. When I say they're small, they are very small. So social distance in there was probably a bit of a challenge for them. I'm fairly certain they even stopped brewing for a bit until it sort of settled down, and they kind of figured out a way to do it safely. But I really like it. So as I mentioned earlier, I like video games. I've always sort of been into video games. All their artwork has this 8-bit design on it. And I'm really gutted I never got a chance to go to their tap room before it shut, because, it's still open, but temporarily shut, because they put old school games consoles on all the tables and everything like that. And it's all very like the 8-bits, very centric to their whole theme. And that's why I quite like them. That's why I chose them, because they're the closest to me. Them and Siren are about 15-minute drive away, from 10-15-minute drive away, and I just really like the 8-bit artwork style. Even on the back label, it says like insert coin to play, and it's got the little barrel. Their logos, the little.
You gotta love that.
Elusive.
And I think that's the thing with Boutilliers as well. This isn't one of their regular labels, but on their regular labels, so this is more of a ampersand design than a Boutilliers one, but on theirs they will have so the lines I've got on my t-shirt, if you're watching on the video, it says Boutilliers and then there's some lines of various lengths underneath it, and that's how they lay out their, there we go, it's that's how they lay out their labels. So it shows you the grist, so it has, which is the grains that go into making the beer, and the length of the line depicts how much of that grain went into it. So if it's a longer line, so if it's a longer line, there was more of that of the malt in it than there was, and then they put in it the hops as well, which, I mean, Beer Geek here just absolutely adores it, because I'm like, what hops are in it? What malts are in it? How much was in it? I can tell from the picture on their label. And it's those little touches that make you love a brewery. And so, you know,
as a visual person, as a visual learner, I appreciate that at Boutilliers, because I like that you can, I didn't know that was what it was, but now that I know that, it's even better, because I'm definitely a very visual person. So I quite like the fact that you can kind of see it and you don't have to sit there and go, oh, it's X% this. I'm not a mathy person. I'm a creative brain all the way. Like, don't ask me to do mental maths, can't do it. So I like that visual bit. And I like that, you know, Elusive always do this 8-bit design. They have, you know, insert coin to play. They have their little barrel logo. And I really hope, at the moment they're open for weekend seating outside, and I really hope that we just, after all this, they open it back up. I can finally get to go in. I can finally play some games there. I'll be very happy if that happens sooner rather than later. Fingers crossed. So we'll see. But they're really great because they do free local delivery within a 5-mile range. So it's quite good if you want to order a bunch and you can't get out, because you don't have to pay if you live close enough by, or you can do click and collect, which is really good. And I think they do mainland shipping as well. So check them out if you like video game 8-bit style artwork and you just want to try some good beer. Yeah,
I'll keep hijacking your talking bits because I keep adding bits in about mine. But Boutilliers have got a tap room as well, so they opened just before Christmas, and I've not managed to get to it either. I've been, so they've got a little shop there and the tap room, and I've not managed to sit at the tap room yet because of the dreaded COVID.
C word.
Yeah, I did go just before we were locking down. I went and bought some takeaway because I was just like, I'm going to the shop and I'm grabbing some before we can't go anywhere.
I did that at Siren.
Yeah, and I managed to get some takeaway.
Go.
But their tap room, so their brewery's in Faversham, but their tap room's in Ashford. But it's literally opposite the train station. So when I am able to get there, it's quite easy to get to. You know, when trains are safe again.
Yeah.
And all of that fun stuff.
Ooh, the more that the bigger sips that I had of this one. So I started off just doing little baby sips, and that's when I got like the maltiness. I've already finished mine, and you've not. I thought you were done. So
I've been saving it. I thought we were moving to the next one. I'm saving it because I haven't had these. So after we finish recording,
we'll keep drinking.
We got to do the Beer Geek thing and take photos and do our notes, because we can't do it while we're talking to you.
Don't tell everyone that.
They know we do it. They do it as well. But they're listening to us.
The bigger sips I had of it, it's a lot more bitterness than I expected as well. It was like, I didn't initially taste it, and then when I took a bigger swig of it, it was like, oh, okay, there's some bitterness to that.
As it's
but not
up a little bit.
Just a decent level.
I'm getting more of that pepperiness that you expect from a saison yeast towards the end. Both these have been delightful. I'm really impressed with our choices.
I'm excited for the two though, because the best part about our next two, before you start on that, is we're going to be doing like East Coast versus West Coast effectively. But I mean, West Coast
is your jam.
An extra added twist to it. But yeah, this is definitely my jam, and I'm excited that I'm making you try this.
Yes. I'm gonna make you do a stout one. We're gonna do like a massive stout day. We'll do a massive stout one. Right, so ham sandwich by Time and Tide. Now, what's funny about this is, and if you're not watching on the video, please do go look this beer up so you can see the label. So it's called ham sandwich because there is a sign in Deal near where the brewery is, because there is a place in Kent called Ham and there's a place in Kent called Sandwich, and they're not that far away from each other. So there is a sign that says Ham Sandwich because it's showing you the directions to Ham and Sandwich. So that's why this beer is called Ham Sandwich. It's got nothing to do with an actual sandwich. It's
No,
because
but you
of
could
the
go
sign.
drink under it. It's
But
fine.
yeah, you can go drink under it like this. They've got a picture on their socials of like a guy with one of their beers underneath the sign drinking it.
That's brilliant.
Exactly like
I think you've got to do it. Go recreate it.
Might have to now. Right. Oh. So this is a New England IPA. You are getting that tropical as soon as you crack it. Oh.
My problem is I always want to go, being a New Englander myself, I always want to go New England IPA. I can't admit when I've had a Siren one and I think it's really good, I'm like, oh, I don't want to admit that this is like one of the best ones because I'm from New England and I'm stubborn and I'm cold-hearted. So New England has to be number one. That looks lovely.
It is like bright yellow.
I get the tropical smells to it.
Hazy, bubbly white head.
Mm.
Massive tropical nose on that.
Yeah.
Pineapple, mango.
It looks like juice.
Yeah, it looks like it's the juice. Coming back to my beer vocabulary course. What does juice mean? I was
gonna say you could also vote. Do you want juice on a t-shirt instead of Crispy Boys?
Yes.
I mean,
you can just do both. You can have both.
We'll vocabulary shirts. Yeah. Vinous across it.
Yes. Oh, there we go.
I like this.
We're just going to do it. So when people say juicy or JOOZE, as some people like to spell it, it is a beer that tastes as if it has fruit juice in it. Is the official. So this is juicy.
I see. I don't think it tastes like it's got juice in it. It just looks like it's juice. It doesn't taste like juice. It's got that bitterness, and almost like bordering on like resinous type taste to it. But it still has that tropical kind of undertone to it, and it's just really tasty.
I think it's the body in a New England because this has got flaked oats in it, so it gives it that slightly creamier body. Now, this is made with mosaic. So give me a second while I do a swirl and cover. See if I can get mosaic. Because whenever I smell mosaic, as I've said before, to me it smells like broccoli. Yeah, there it is.
I've got to go for it. Hold on.
There it is.
It's weird because I guess I never would have said that.
Broccoli.
And then now that it's in my head like broccoli, mm-hmm. That is... Now I'm like, it is broccoli, isn't it?
It's the vegetalness that you get from it's underlying, like it's not like open a can, that smells like broccoli. It's the underlying characteristic of that hop. To me, maybe not to everybody, but to me it smells like broccoli. So I'm like, it's got mosaic in it. Yep, there's the broccoli.
You've done the power of suggestion now in my head.
Yeah, sorry.
So that's there. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely broccoli, isn't it?
But now you're going to know if you're smelling a beer and you're like, that smells like broccoli. Oh, that must have mosaic in it. See?
It's got this is going to sound weird, but it's got the rawness of broccoli.
Yes.
Like, does that make sense? Raw?
Absolutely.
Smell?
Yep.
Uncooked broccoli.
Yep, as if you just picked up a broccoli from the shop.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's mosaic for you people. Smells like raw broccoli.
But yeah, it's very like, I think it's very bitter lead.
Yeah.
And then you get I'd say like the second half of the taste is very tropical fruit and it's quite enjoyable. I mean, it's very New England IPA. I could tell that it was New England IPA.
It's refreshing. I like it. So Time and Tide, I had not... So they've been around since 2013. So way longer than Boutilliers have been around. Although they've been around longer than 2018. That's just when I started drinking them. But they started in 2013 and were founded by Paul, Sam and Kerry. I chat to Kerry every now and then. She's lovely. Love a bit of Kerry. And I think I had one of theirs I think I must have bought it at a farm shop and only had one. And then the first one that I really remember having from them was at a Christmas meal. We had a Christmas meal at a pizza place in Canterbury, and I was looking down their craft beer list, and there was the Kraken Coffee Stout, and I'm like, oh, that is a bit of me. I will have one of those, please. And it was absolutely delicious. And that was my first remembrance of having a Time and Tide beer. But where a lot of my local breweries have come from to me is like the Kent Beer Festival and the local beer festivals. Time and Tide are never at any of the beer festivals. And I spoke to Kerry about this and I was like, I've never seen it. And then she was just like, they don't accept us.
Why? That's
I don't know. And I think it's because they are more craft than real ale.
Okay.
So they now do a bit more traditional stuff, and that is because in 2019 they started taking part in this community project that's called the Deal Hop Farm. So people all around Deal will take hops and grow them on their allotments, in their gardens, wherever they've got a piece of land, and then they all come back together at harvest time and bring back the hops that they've grown, and it's all part of this community project called the Deal Hop Farm. So it's done in little plots all around Deal, and they grow prima donna
really cool.
hops and then bring it all back together, and then it's sent off to places like Time and Tide take some and they'll do a green hop beer and they'll save it, and then they'll do a series of Deal Hop Farm beers throughout the year. And so they'll do a green hop, they've done an ESB, a porter, a stout, a pale ale, and they do it throughout the year with these hops that have been grown by the community, and it's just amazing.
That's really cool. That's a cool idea.
And the beers are really interesting. Like, I really wanted to get into it this year and grow the hops in my garden, but my garden's not very good for growing plants in. I've discovered killed off a mint plant a couple of times, so I wouldn't want to kill off the hops. But it's like they are. I find that Time and Tide are very community driven brewery, and when I started finding them more, it was because a beer bar had opened in Sandwich, which is a little village down the road for me, and they had their beers on in Sandwich as on the can, and they stock a lot of Time and Tide's beers, and the people from Time and Tide frequent the cafe, and that's how I met Kerry actually, because I popped in to buy some beers on the Saturday, and then didn't realise that they had a fruited sour on that was Time and Tide and Squawk. So I went back on the Sunday to have a half. I was just like, I'm just going to go back and have this beer because can't find it anywhere. So I was like, right, went in, had a little half and was coming home. And I'm just sat at the window, like drinking my beer, taking my notes, checked it in on Untap. And there's a table of people that they've obviously been like doing a park run or something exercisey for a Sunday morning. They're having some breakfast. And I've checked in, and this lady comes over and goes, I hope you don't mind, but are you a woman's brew? And I was like, yeah, I am. She's like, I'm Kerry from Time and Tide. I've just seen that you've checked in our beer. Thank you very much for your review. And I was like, oh, hi.
It's a good thing you weren't like one.
Yeah.
That would have been
terrible. I don't think she'd have come over. No, it was really delicious. But then, so
she might have come over. She might
have been like, why don't you like our beer? Why don't you like our beer? But no, like, so they're just really like, the brewers in Kent are just really friendly. So it's just lovely chatting to them and things like that. So
I really like their little logo.
I know
in the video. It's almost like it's a little Cthulhu.
Yeah.
I quite like it. I think it's really cute.
And they do such an interesting range of beers. And maybe this isn't why they were getting into the Kent Beer Festival, because it's very real ale heavy. But so I mean, this is a very traditional New England IPA, but they do saisons, they do wine barrel aged beers, they do an imperial fruited sour called Bouncy Elephants that is like, it's like alcoholic umbungo.
I like the label on that one.
Yeah They've done a tropical wit beer. Like, they just try out really interesting, delicious beers, and they're just great. I love it, and I love that they're literally like round the corner from me.
But you'd expect that like with those festivals, that they would just go, if you're willing to pay to be in it, because I imagine that a lot of the times it's not just invitation only, you do have to pay for a stall, I imagine. So if you're willing to pay for a stall or whatever, you shouldn't have to be accepted. It should be like you're contributing, here you go, and let your beer speak for yourself. People either want to drink it or they don't.
Well, no, see, here's the thing. It's because it's a camera event, I would say. So they're getting better now. But the campaign for Real Ale, which is what CAMRA stands for, so they have been instrumental in trying to make sure that beer, like that ale has stayed in pubs and that pubs are saved. And, we're all very grateful for that. It's great. Good job. However, they have also, in my opinion, fostered a thought that the only good beer is on cask and the only good beer is real ale, which then cuts out your New England IPAs, your keg beers and things like that. And there are a hardcore group of camera people that are just like, the only good beer is on cask, every other beer is rubbish. And that's not true anymore.
No. It might have been.
It probably what, back when camera started and in the 80s, when it was ale versus Euro lager, then you're right, the best beer was on cask. But it's now opening up and widening, and they are doing work on it. Like the last couple of beer festivals that I've been to that have been camera, they've had a discovery zone where they actually had on, so Wantsum were there, who are another one of my local breweries, and they asked them to do the exact same beer on cask and on keg. And then they went, right, one of these is cask, one of these is keg, which is it? And I got it wrong, because I assumed that one, I was just like, well, I think this one's keg because it's got like less flavour. I think this one's cask. And actually, and I think I expected the keg one to be fizzier, and it wasn't necessarily. But it was really interesting because actually keeping it on keg, they can get it into the keg without like any real oxygen getting close to it. So the flavours are much stronger. Yeah. Because they've not had any oxygen to degrade them. Whereas when you put it in cask, some oxygen is going to come in contact with the beer, so the flavour is going to go down. So at the end of the day, it's down to the brewer as to how they think their beer is best served. Yeah. And we as beer drinkers need to trust that they know what they're talking about, because it's their beer and they formulated it. And if a beer is good, doesn't matter if it's come out of a cask, a keg, a can, or a bottle, good beer is good beer.
Yeah, I was going to say good beer is good beer. I know, to be fair, like I've gone to, up until the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've gone to Reading Beer Festival every single year, because we used to live in Reading before we moved to a different area that we live now. And every year we'd go, and you get all the great, real ales and all the camera approved stuff. But then there was always the international section, and those were obviously the more expensive ones that you'd have to use all your drink tokens on. And you'd be like, just take my drink tokens, I want to try these ones. And those would be the ones, like you'd go to the US section, it would be like US craft beers, and they would be like so good. It's just that thing of like, just let people like what they like. It doesn't, if it's good, it doesn't matter what it's coming out of, bottle, can, cask, keg, whatever. Like you said, you've got to trust the brewer that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. I'll even let you drink a lager if you want. I'll let you drink a Foster's if you want, but
Again, shameless plug for Siren. I mean, they've released their Hell's Lager. It's really good.
Let's do let's do a lager episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a lager episode. We'll get Doki Doki from
how many episodes? How many episodes can I plug Siren in? Let's see.
I'll fight you for it. I'll just keep plugging Boutilliers.
Fine, we can do this all the time. All the time.
Let's have no. So we're gonna have a T-shirt, and we're gonna it'll have a who's winning, who's plugged their favourite brewery more, Joe or Tori.
Right.
Okay. Oh,
we go on?
We are on to the one.
Right.
The Siren.
This one is not, I want to say it's special because it's Siren, but that's not why it's special.
That's not why I think it's special, though I do like. No diss in Siren because they make delicious beer, but that's not why it's wonderful that it's from Siren, but that's not why I think it's special.
What I will say about Siren, so this is the again, this is called Neo Normal. It is their 7.3% Cali IPA. What I will say is they make some extraordinary Cali IPAs, West Coast IPAs, whatever you want to call them. They've got 4 separate to this, 5 including this, I believe, that they've come out with this year alone. They started off doing their collaborations with Green Cheek Brewery. That's a US West Coast, is it Green Cheek? Yeah, Green Cheek Brewery, I believe, in California, and they taught them the best brewing techniques for what, how to brew the West Coast IPA. And to me, as far as all the UK versions, not just because it's Siren, but as for all the UK versions of West Coast IPA, to me, they're the gold standard. They just do a really, really good West Coast IPA. And so before I tell you why it's special, what I say is, so Siren, as I said, is in Finch Hampstead. It was started in 2013, and their head brewer is Sean Knight. And he's been there since, I believe, last year. I want to say it was June or July, but I could be getting it wrong. But it was started in 2013 by Darren Anley. I think I said his name right. Apologies if I haven't. This one is a collaboration with the Yakima Chief hops. And the reason it's so special is they are one of 7 breweries that got to brew with the new hop called Talus in Europe. They've obviously... I'm sure they've brewed in the US, but they were one of 7 breweries in Europe to get to brew with Talus first and release this new strain of hop. So I think you'll be able to tell us probably more about Talus than I will. But what I will say before we pour this is I said to you off camera, very shocked at the taste of it compared to what you're expecting from a West Coast IPA. So let's drink it. I want to see your reaction to it because I've had it before and I want to know what your reaction is. A, as a person that doesn't love hoppy IPAs or anything, and B, for what this hop is. I'm going to use my fancy mug. I'm excited.
I'm geeking out about this because I have been, I watched the release of Talus on, so Yakima Chief have done a virtual harvest this year because they couldn't get people. Normally they have them come to their ranches and come and see all the stuff, and they do like seminars and stuff, but they've done a virtual one this year. So I'll put the link in the show notes, but it's at virtualharvest.com, and there are videos there about the farms where they grow their hops. There's a bit about Talus. There was a round table about European brewing. There was a round table about Russian brewing. There was going to be a bit about women in the industry, but it got postponed. So I want to keep an eye out and see when that actually happens because I want to watch that. But I'll link to it. I know it's really good. It was really good. But I listened to. I'm just waking my phone up, so I've got my notes of what they said the hop actually was supposed to taste like. So
while you do that, what I'll say is I just want to clarify, these bubbles, that is not dirt. That's not a dirty glass. It's not filth. It's not DGM. It's the design of the glass, and I just want that to be known before I get judged for that. It's the glass design. So that's my flaw with Siren. They've designed an amazing glass, but they made it look like I've got DGM, and I don't.
I am putting out an episode about how to get a beer clean glass. So
yes,
listen out for that. Listen out for that. It's really funny because I didn't have a beer clean glass when I did it.
I can't wait to see that one. So with this one, what they said the characteristics were aroma wise was pink grapefruit, tropical fruit, pine, and floral notes. So that's what they had listed. The aroma was supposed to be of it. I get coconut. And I was a bit like, maybe I've got this wrong. And I took a sip of it, and the first time I did it again, just to validate, very coconut. Yeah. So my instinct was, I'm fairly certain I'm drinking Sabro. I knew it wasn't Sabro because I knew it was Talus. I know it's the West Coast IPA, so I don't really expect it to be coconut. When I looked up Talus, this is when I saw that it's actually a sister hop to Sabro.
It's the daughter.
It's like stepdaughter or something.
So it's what it is they had Sabro, and they let it get wild pollinated.
Oh,
So it's
risque.
Sabro and Nia Mexicana. So Talus is the daughter of those two. So that's why you get a bit of that in there.
I was absolutely
What is
shocked,
that
and I
that
thought, what am I literally was like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be drinking, because it was so completely far removed from what I thought it was going to be. It's really lovely, but it was a total shock to me when I first drank it, because I was like, oh, that's different, because it doesn't even taste like straight Sabro, where it's very coconut. It's very distinctly coconut, but it's not like Sabro level of coconut, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Very interesting.
I'm getting sage.
Exciting.
I'm getting sage and lemon.
That's what I couldn't place. So I got the lemony bit,
Grapefruit.
but the sage bit is what I wouldn't have placed. I just knew it was a bit herby. I don't, but I couldn't figure out what specifically. But now that you say that, yeah, that makes sense.
Sage and lemon and grapefruit.
Yeah.
On the aroma. And then when I drink it, I get the coconut and a herbally sage.
I do get a bit of lemon.
Am I getting a bit of rose?
Yeah, I would say there's floral notes
a bit
to it.
Yeah, really. And I get a bit of rose. It's absolutely delicious. And there are so many layers to it. Every time you drink it, there's a little bit more.
Yep. But what I'll say, so there's more. I've noticed more now, trying it now, especially with your suggestions as well. Going, oh yeah, that's what I couldn't identify the first time around.
Yeah.
I think it's not what they normally do for West Coast IPA. I would say it's very different. It's very different from Siren's for other West Coast IPAs.
Yeah.
Not what I'd expect of a West Coast IPA, but it's very lovely. It's dry. It's very dry. Yeah. It's got a dry but crisp. It makes it a bit moreish, in my opinion. It's very refreshing, very moreish, and it's just a bit unique for a West Coast IPA. And I think it's really nice.
If you put that in front of me, I wouldn't say it was a West Coast IPA.
No, if we were using our feelings and opinions on our taste buds, we would not go, that's a West Coast IPA. We'd go,
absolutely not. It's like it's an IPA.
I would have thought there was brutness to it. I'd think that it was like
you get brut.
Only brut.
Yeah.
Brut. I'd call it brut. But because that dryness, that's where my brain was going. They did On the Bubble, which was a brut, brew, whatever IPA, and it has that similar dry, crisp quality to it that the On the Bubble had. So that's where my brain would be going more so than a West Coast IPA.
I would be interested to know what yeast they used in this. Doesn't say, does it?
Them.
Yeah,
find out. I go pick my next beers up.
I'll be really interested to know what it might just be their house yeast, but I'll be interested to know what kind of yeast it is, because it's got a real clean finish. It could be an American, because American yeasts have a cleaner finish than
we do
English ones. And maybe they
used about that. Text me a reminder, and I'll. Don't text me about Americans having a cleaner finish.
Yeah.
Text me about the yeast, and I'll remember to ask them.
Yeah, and then we'll. Now you got to listen to another episode, listeners, because we'll tell you what kind of yeast it was.
Next episode.
It might be an American yeast or an American derivative, because it's very clean.
It very well might be, because of the fact that obviously it's their West Coast IPA, and they've learned, I don't know if they've learned, but I think they've learned based on their first set that they did with Green Cheek. So I think that there very well could be an American yeast one. But yeah, Sirens, they do just really good beers. And it's very, to me, that's innovative. I think it's quite interesting, and it's a bit innovative for West Coast.
Yeah. So do you want to hear what they said it was supposed to?
Yeah, hit
like
with it.
So there's if you go to the virtualharvest.com, there is a sensory panel on Talus. So they sent out hop samples to people, and they did a sensory panel online, and I watched that because I'm a geek. If you were outside the US, you couldn't get the hops, boo, but I just watched everybody else doing it. So the people that did that got these characteristics. So they got banana, bubblegum, mint, grapefruit, basil, sage, pine, orange, lemon, tangerine, and herbal.
That's bubblegum's interesting.
Yeah. Well, bubblegum, that you get that in like wit beers and Hefeweizens from that kind of yeast.
But I don't think I ever
don't
would
get
have
bubblegum.
thought about that.
I get bubblegum a lot in wit beers. We'll do some wit beers and,
I do like wit beers.
I'll say bubblegum and you'll go.
And I go, oh my God, it's
yeah.
bubblegum.
Yeah.
Power of suggestion.
I don't get the orange and tangerine.
No, I don't get that.
Banana.
For me, it's very coconut led, in my opinion. That's the flavour for my taste buds.
Yeah.
That sticks out the most, but I would say that this is definitely a beer that's very, I would use the very, I don't know how to say it in a nice way. Very douchey term would be like, it's very complex. Like, sorry, cut that out. Cut that out.
No, complex.
That word out,
yeah, complex. It really is.
I feel like I sound like snobby when I say it, but I would say it's very like complex in flavors because the coconut is definitely the biggest taste to me. But then I do get all these other elements that feel like they're sort of fighting around in my mouth. And the coconut comes out the victor, but I can still taste kind of everything else going on there. And it's all really lovely.
Yeah, and they don't, though you're like, they're fighting in your brain to work out what they are, but they don't fight in the like they are all balanced in there. Like it's
very well balanced.
Yeah, there's herbal, there's floral, there's citrusy, there's coconut. So it's not quite tropical, but you're like, oh, there's a bit of coconut in there. So it's really interesting. And considering it's a West Coast, you'd expect a bit more sweet maltiness, and it's there because you can see it in the colour. Yeah. But it's not there in the taste. So it's not as dark. Like, I'd expect a West Coast to be slightly darker than this. But that
still has that very clear quality to it. That very light.
But that's good because they haven't put too much of the maltiness in because they didn't want to detract from the hops. It's very clever. Yeah, it's like very complex. They're sort of fighting together for all these flavors, but then they sort of work together in harmony, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, it's lovely. And it's very like coconut is the big middle bit, and then everything orbiting around it is all the other flavors going on. And it's like they're working together to make this really nice. I would even say it's a bit like spring type flavor, summery type flavor. It's definitely not what I'd think like winter, autumn. It's definitely like spring, bright, very, very nice flavors. Basically, Siren are award winners, so you probably know their Broken Dream. So they won the Camera's Supreme Champion of Beer Award in 2018. I've got about 4 different variations. I'm gutted because I missed their Shattered Dream, which was meant to be absolutely amazing. But I've got the nitro one. No, I've got the nitro one. I can send you one. I've got a few. Yes, please. But it's Shattered Dream, I think, was the first variant they did recently this year. Okay. And it was meant to be very creamy and just very like really nice, but I missed it. But I've got about 3 or 4 other variants. I know they've got one out in Morrison's now, the cherry one. I haven't managed to find the cherry one. I haven't been able to find it. If I can get another one, I'll grab you one. But it's really I've not sat down. I want to sit down and do them all together. I want to do them back to back. So it's just finding the time to get to do that. So on my blog, I can cover doing a comparison because I like doing my comparison. You love a comparison. I do love a good comparison. And so they do, what I really like about Siren is they do takeaway beers now. They paused it for a while, but I think I saw today that they're back on. They paused it for like a week because of the new announcements for COVID restrictions. And now they've unpaused it again and they're allowing people to do takeaway beers, which is you can go there, you can get a pint in a plastic cup, and then you can go sit on one of their benches, take a blanket, sit out. It was really nice when it was still sunny out. And then I saw your pictures. I was very jealous. Yeah, they've got a lot of woodlands around them, so you could if we've got dogs, so we could take the dog, we could go for a walk, and we could end our trip at Siren. I can get my takeaway beers. They do food stalls at their tap room, the tap yards. Yeah. Every Saturday. It's really great. So you do free brewery collection. So I like to go pick up my beer, get a takeaway, half pint, enjoy that.
sit out in the nice sun. I don't know how it's going to work when it gets colder, but I read today that they're going to start doing it inside. So I'm quite excited about that, because I was really afraid that it's going to be, oh, it's cold, so we're closing down now. But yeah, they're West Coast IPA. It's really difficult because I love their West Coast IPAs, but I have to say the affogato and the
that was delicious.
Caribbean white chocolate cake white stout. Literally,
I think
I've got a sweet tooth.
I mean, I love
amazing.
their Caribbean chocolate cake series. It's just like there's every year they do something really interesting with it.
Yeah,
I think that was one of my first beers from them. I had it at a brew dog. Managed to get it when I saw it, and yeah, I really liked it. I had the white one. I had it from can, and I think you had it on cask. Or did you have it on keg?
I don't know if it was cast or kegged. I just know that
you had it on tap. You had it on tap.
It was on tap.
Generally beer on tap is going to be better. I think it would have been better. I think it would.
It was literally like I was drinking white chocolate. Like I was like, this is amazing. It was my first white stout, and it was so good. I was like, I just want to go find all the white stouts now, because it was amazing. And I tried to get it to go because they were letting you do it in one liters.
Yeah.
But the problem was they were like, we're down to the last. I don't know. I think it was barrel, so I guess it.
Yeah.
But they said we're down to the last one, so we can't let anyone else do takeaways. So I was like, no. I was like, I would have got it at the beginning of my session if I had known. I waited until the end because I didn't want to leave it sitting there because it was quite hot out that day. And I was like, oh no, please. So I'm really hoping that they have some more in their cellar somewhere hidden away. So it was so good. It was the dream. But yeah, like I said, I go there weekly. The staff are so nice. They are so just like the friendliest people, and it's very good customer service. It just always said really nice. So everyone knows that I'm like fangirl over it. But it's not just because they're my local, it's because they make really good beers, and they're so, for me, easily accessible, and the price of them is such good value for money. So I really can't preach the good word of Siren enough. So
we are proper fangirls for our locals. We love them.
Yeah, we'll have to have a face off.
We love them.
If it comes down to memes, Boutilliers win.
Yes, Drew's gonna win.
Sorry,
they're gonna win. They are gonna win.
Taproom guys are gonna have to up their meme game at Siren if they want to take Drew out on that.
I'm sure Drew will give him some lessons.
I can't even pretend to stick up for them in that regard, because I don't see any memes there, so I'll just have to I'll have to train them. So
yeah. Brilliant. Right, well, that is I'm sure we'll go back to local breweries again, because we've got other brilliant breweries.
Many.
Oh, I forgot
Phantom's releasing like killers all the time.
I forgot Dairy down my way, so they're more real ale, but they have a craft arm called Cattle Shed. Their chocolate milk stout is absolutely ridiculous. So good.
That sounds amazing. We should be doing another episode, which is like
we'll have to do another one.
The locals, which like bridge the gap between craft and real, because we've got West Berks Brewery over here and a few others, Ascot Brewing, that sort of bridge that gap. So we could do a whole separate episode on that.
There you go. We're just filling up our calendars with more beer episodes. It's great.
More just so I can get around and drink more of the beers around me.
As we said before, this is really just about us drinking beer. So
it's our excuse to drink all these amazing beers, and then I can tell my husband, sorry, that beer delivery I've just got,
it's for the podcast.
It's for the podcast.
It's really important. I've already told my husband that like 3 times, and I had to buy those. They were for the podcast.
That's my excuse. It's for the podcast.
It's for the podcast. I have to. Yeah.
Hopefully we introduce some people to some new breweries that they've either not heard of, or maybe they've heard of and they weren't convinced fully. Like I know Siren, I see a lot of people on the forums like, I see Beer Nuts do a box with them, and I don't know, is Siren any good? So I'm just like, yes. And then usually someone comes in and says she's a fangirl. So, but yes, they're amazing. Get Beer Nuts with it. Go and they do a bright side pack, which comes with a free glass, and it's a nice glass. And yeah, I think hopefully we've convinced some people to take the plunge and try some new breweries they might not have tried before, or let us know what your local breweries are, your favorite local brewery. And then that will give us something to try out from what's local to you guys. So
We will put links to all 4 of these breweries in the show notes. So go and check them out. They all do home delivery. They all do home delivery. Yes, they all do home delivery. So check on their shops and go and buy something. They are all brilliant.
Yes.
Just go and buy their beer, and then let
Support
us know.
them.
Yeah, support your local breweries, people, because
Support them now. It's more important than ever because we need to make sure they stick around, because do you really want to live in a society where COVID's gone, but so are our breweries? Because
Yeah.
I don't.
No. So support your local breweries, support drink local, support your local pubs and bars as well if you can,
Yes.
where
Bottle
it's safe
shops,
to do so. Your local
everything.
bottle shops, do all of that. These
And
guys are relying
tell us
on
your
us.
favourite and we can help support them as well.
Email us on lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Tell us who your local favourites are. There might be some new ones for us. Maybe we'll do another podcast episode on it if you tell us some lovely ones.
Use a submission podcast.
Yes.
Do you want to give them your Instagram?
Yes. So if you want to speak to me, I am a woman's brew on Instagram and Facebook. And also there is my beer school, Love Beer Learning. We are on Facebook and Instagram as Love Beer Learning. And you can come to our website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. There are links to the podcast there. And there are also links to my beer tasting course. Come join me. Where can they find you, Tori?
So they can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_hoptimism. You can come talk to me if you want. I'm not that exciting, but I will definitely chat to you. So DM me, whatever, tell me your local brewery so I've got something new to buy and write off on the podcast. So
send us your ideas.
Yeah.
We want to hear your t-shirt ideas. We want to hear your episode ideas. We want to hear who your local breweries are. So email us, contact us any way that you can. Okay, that's the end of our episode today. Hope you've enjoyed our beers, and we will be back with you soon.
Cool.
Cheers.